Welcome to Babel. How are you doing? Have you been good? I hope you're doing well. This is MIB. I recently uploaded a video about the VR game Blockbuster, available on MetaQuest. And this game is basically virtual reality Rampage, and then some, with more. You know, when virtual reality games just started dropping regularly, the first thing that popped up in my mind is I need a game where I'm a giant monster smashing buildings. Like, it's a no-brainer. Why don't I have this at launch? Like, it just feels like a no-brainer idea. Yet a good one was just not coming out. And then along come these guys who are just like, we love these movies. This is our childhood. This is our childhood wish fulfillment. Let's do this. And they make this game Blockbuster. And it is a really good game. It's a lot of fun, single player and multiplayer. And it got on my radar when the guys approached me to ask if they could put a little MIB in the game. So I'm in the game. So to prepare for the video I made for the game, I jumped on Zoom with the team and asked them questions, picked their brains about Blockbuster. And it went on for a good while, and you know, I only wound up using like 2 minutes worth in the finished video, but if you're interested in it, I'll put it here in Monster Island Babel. And while you watch and listen, you could also watch some raw gameplay footage of me playing Blockbuster. So I hope you check this out, and I hope you enjoy it.
Hi, my name is Mike, and I'm the lead dev on Blockbuster.
My name is Brent, and I am the creative director on Blockbuster.
I'm Doug, and I'm the executive producer of Blockbuster.
First of all, I just want to know what kind of inspirations you guys drew from when imagining and developing this game. Like, what are the things that you played or watched or listened to that went into this game, into this project?
I'm a big fan of everything giant monster, dinosaur specific as well. I also played a lot of Rampage as a kid.
You know, we looked at games like Rampage, we looked at games like War of the Monster. You know, we looked at, you know, other popular games like on mobile phones, like, you know, the Jurassic Park Park Builder game, for example, just to see, like, you know, what people really like, what people really wanted out of their game. And then we also researched, you know, other VR monster games, you know, that were released, you know, back in like 2017, 2016. A lot of that, you know, was trying to gauge like what the public's initial thought process was when they wanted to go in it. So reading reviews, you know, taking what people thought that they wanted out of this game and putting it in there.
Tell me something like an aspect or a feature or anything in your game that you're like confident players will not find in other games.
Popping the heads off of people. So something that you could find in our game that I would say is probably unique to our game and our game only is the idea that you can grab a human and you can pop their head off. You know, and that the way you do that is you pick them up with the grip button and on your Oculus Touch controller, and you toggle down with the joystick, and you can hold it down. Their head will like undulate like they're inflating like a balloon, and then when you release it, they just pop off.
I would like popping people's heads off too, but I do think something about our game that's very unique to all monster games is you are actually the monster. You're in the monster's head, you are controlling his movements. Typically, you're looking at the monster, you know, from the outside, and you're doing things and controlling it, you know, with a controller. But in our game, you become, you know, whatever creature you want to be. We allow you to be a giant lizard or a giant monkey or a giant butterfly. You know, there's tons of different abilities for each one of them, and I think that's kind of definitely one of the things that's exciting about Blockbuster is, you know, you are in the head, you're in the costume, you are the monster.
Mm-hmm. And the variety of monsters is what does set us apart from other monster games. Yeah, on a console game like a PlayStation or Xbox game or even a Steam game, you would expect there's there are multiple selections for your monster so you can fight other people. But in VR, it's really limited to one monster. We can see this in other titles too. With Blockbuster, we have a minimum of 5 monsters, and that's part of the game. You want to, as the player, unlock these monsters. You want to build their cosplay, and you want to customize their cosplay. Part of it is showing off your cool collection to your buddies. You know, that's part of the other thing about Blockbuster too, is just the whole B side of the game and the reward factor of it all. You know, we want to encourage, you know, this whole collecting community and mindset. You know, it's really cool when, you know, like MIB, like your background, like it's amazing. You know, like you definitely have taken the time to curate your walls and your shelves, and it looks very nice and very clean. So like, I'm just saying, I'm using you as an example. Like, we wanted to encapsulate what you're doing, man.
Like, the game is not developed just for Monster fans, but also the collecting aspect.
Part of what we like about the collecting side of Blockbuster is that it helps to, you know, express the other side of fandom, which is collecting, and that's kind of what we were trying to incorporate in this game. That, you know, in one side of the coin, you are actually in the movies, you are the monster, but when you're not in that mode, you're back in your bedroom, and now you're a fan. So now you're a cosplayer donning the costume that looks like your favorite monster. And you can, you know, curate your collection to only focus on, say, Richter scale or on Gorilla. You know, it's up to you, kind of what you want to gravitate to in the game. Or you could just collect MIBs because you're a collectible now too. So, and you know, you can see behind me, that's been my life up to, you know, developing games. I'm a nerd. I'm a fan of many films and genres, and I think the best way to, like, you know, be a fan is to express that. And so I think we got to show that part of the game in Blockbuster, and a lot of the times, you know, that's left out because you're expressing your fandom once you leave the game. But in our game, you have all these fun things to play with that represent, you know, the broader world.
How did you three come together to start this project?
Brent and I started our company back in 2015. We're childhood friends. We've been friends since junior high. We've known each other since we were 12 years old. We went to school together, high school together. We split when we went to college, but we still kept in touch, and we were still really good friends. Afterwards, we got together and we decided to start a production company. It was something that we've always discussed in the past. You know, Brent and I, along with some of our other friends, you know, we always made like home movies and shorts, like as a hobby. To, you know, kind of exercise our skills in filmmaking growing up. And so, you know, we decided to turn that into a business in 2015, where we made a web series and we started working on like commercial content for businesses. That actually transitioned into drone photography and drone video for architecture. When we were doing that, we, you know, got a request for, hey, can you guys make 3D renders of buildings? Well, I don't know how to use 3D software. Brent didn't know how to use 3D software. So that's when we got in touch with Mike. We met Mike. He was a 3D animator and a 3D modeler. He was a 3D artist, a very good photoreal 3D artist too. And, you know, during the, during during the years of 2017 to 2020 or 2019, really, like, we were working in architecture. In that, while we were working in architecture, the tail end of that, we started working in virtual reality. So we were taking the skyscrapers and all of like the things that we were working on, and we were throwing them in the Quest headset to see if we could walk around and show our clients that, hey, you can actually tour your building before it's built. Here it is. Well, unfortunately, 2020 rolled around, and, you know, a big old virus infected the whole world, and architecture was all of a sudden not on the table. Like, there was no need for arch viz at that time. You know, like, real estate stopped. You know, everything came to a halt. But gaming was starting to unfold, and the Quest was brand new at the time. So we were just getting our feet wet with Unreal development and developing in virtual reality. And we decided, hey, you know, like, we're pretty decent at like making buildings and putting them in virtual reality. How about we make buildings and now we destroy them in virtual reality? And that's kind of how all of this like cascaded into becoming what Happy Camper is today, where Blockbuster is at today. And yeah, I mean, it's been, what is it, 2024 now? So yeah, 4 years, you know, we've been going at it with this. And, you know,
to add on to that too, like, it's actually really funny because we did a couple buildings in VR, and I remember putting we all had headsets, and I remember putting them on basically the building on both their headsets. And Brent found out, like, I had the building, like this giant building that was, you know, designed by an architect, and right next to it, like, I used the template level that had like these little blocks, and Brent found out like more people were just messing around with the blocks and they were actually looking at the building that we meant them to play with, right? So that's where like the original like idea was like, oh, it'd be cool to actually take these blocks and make them into like buildings that we can actually hit and smash and mess around
That
with.
was like the
original
inspiration.
idea. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Our
Like, hey,
actually our
people
original
are busy with
building
these
was
blocks.
like
We should do something with it.
tiny blocks. So each building was made up of like hundreds of little tiny blocks that you would hit, and they would all go. But on the quest, it ran like 2 frames a second. It was like, so we had to change a couple things, but
Go a little bit bigger on the block.
yeah, exactly.
Is Blockbuster a game that you see yourself just keep adding more content to over the years, or is it pretty much where it's going to be right now?
So we launched last March, and we've been pretty consistently updating it since then. Actually, this March we put out a whole second half to the game, which was our multiplayer expansion, which now is getting people in there as monsters together, both like creating content, just destroying buildings, but also fighting each other in a competitive mode. And after that, we've consistently kind of been adding on since then, and we have kind of a roadmap through the remainder of the year for some more updates. And we do hope, depending on people's interest, to continue supporting Blockbuster as long as is possible on the quest.
Yeah, I mean we've definitely had tons of ideas, like especially monsters. Like we've been flooded with like, we want this, we want that. I want a radioactive tuna fish sandwich monster. Like when we'd love to actually like add exactly.
Yeah, actually, can you speak to that, like about like how the community is helping shape the game and kind of give you ideas for the future?
Absolutely, yeah. So the community plays a big role in the in the post development of Blockbuster. In some ways, we're, as a new developer, it's hard sometimes to navigate through like what you think is the best idea. So we graciously, like, we're eternally grateful that we have a community that we can get inspiration from, and they are more than willing to give us their ideas, and to work with us on this. And so some of those ideas, we do take into consideration, because it could mean the difference between like good quality of life and a poor quality of life in the game, and more times than not, like it changes for the better when when a popular idea that's vocalized by the community gets implemented.
And for instance, Doug, last year around September, we added weapons into the game, which was an exciting update. And at that point, we did poll our Discord community on designs for those weapons. And one of the skins that's in the game currently, we have a blaster, which functions as a potato cannon for our humans. You can load them in the barrel and shoot them out. And that looks like a traditional, like, kind of space gun. But we have an alternate skin, which is based on that pole, and it's a duck. So you can load up this fun duck-looking gun, and it shoots eggs out of its mouth, and they explode. And
our Discord was very duck-oriented, like last year.
For a little while, yeah.
I don't see the duck get referenced anymore.
I don't see any more duck stuff.
We satisfied the duck crowd, apparently.
Yeah.
You didn't have to do a kaiju duck.
Yeah.
You
the community,
before you got that far.
Yeah.
Should we give them the name?
Comes up with the best names.
We have a kaiju duck named Earthquack, apparently, based on feedback. So yes.
Funny.
I think the artist we had at the time, Jared, he drew like a
Ghidorah.
Yeah, he drew like a duck version of that. So it actually looked really good.
Is there a plan to take Blockbuster to any other console or place for its availability?
So that's something we would like to entertain. It's just the way that the game was created, it limits kind of the ability to do that easily. So I don't think we would like to say no, but we also, I don't think, can say that it's something that is anywhere near a guarantee.
So it's not like you could just pick it up and put it on the PS4 VR.
Exactly. That was the thing. Like when we started developing this game, we were using the Quest 1. We've already had a PS4 VR or a PSVR, so we were familiar with it. But after doing the standalone headset and system, we quickly realized, like, guys, I think this might be the direction that we need to focus on. Not to say like it's not important to include, tethered VR headsets like Steam VR and PlayStation and anything else really. But our main focus was, there's no giant monster kaiju game on this standalone headset system, and there's a reason for that. Why is that? You know, it must be because, oh, there's a lot of assets involved in it. Oh, it's too much on the system. You know, it's too heavy. You know, so that was a problem that we set out to solve. So technically, like, we built Blockbuster for the standalone headset, for the Quest headset.
No, that's fine. I think it's important for people like me who don't know this stuff to know that it's not as easy as click and drop and drag.
We wish, otherwise we would have done it yesterday, brother. Blockbuster is our studio's first. It's our first game, you know. So that's the main. That's really like the main thing that I think is impressive that we want to like let people know. We're a new studio in gaming. You know, we're an entertainment company. You know, we love pop culture. We love giant monsters. We love video games. Virtual reality is really cool, and we want to keep working in this sector. Blockbuster was our first game, and you know, we hope to make more. We hope we can make.
Just tell me something like you love to do when you're in the game. Like, what's a feature that you personally love to do?
This idea, obviously, many parts of it were childhood wish fulfillment, right? Just the act of destroying a city in the way that you get to is something that I've wanted to do as a fan of this genre since I was very small. But the main thing that I've always wanted to do as a Godzilla fan was use Godzilla's atomic breath. And in our game, it's very, you know, Richter scales, fire breath. But, you know, having that power and actually blasting, you know, a beam out of my mouth, you know, as a creature and wiping out a city or cooking people, you know, that was something I always wanted to do. And our game, you know, lets you do it in spades. You know, the first time we ever demoed the game, it was the most rewarding experience because we had a new player step in and he powered up and the controllers were vibrating and he started like getting his hands all high and then he just pulled back and he went, ah, and you know, he blasted it out. And yeah, so, you know, we get to do that while we work every day now. It's pretty cool.
My favorite thing to do in Blockbuster is to cook people on the fences in single player mode, is in particular level 2, because you have a dome that's there and you can basically just take a human and just like upchuck them, like just straight up in the air. If you have the arm for it, they'll stick up there and get electrocuted, and then they'll cook into a food and they'll drop right down and you can catch them in your hand and eat them. Like, it's just like kind of like a order up like kind of thing. Like, I just, yeah, I think it's hilarious, you know? It reminds me of like just like a SpongeBob Krabby Patty, you know, like ring the bell, order up.
It's a good one. What about you, Mike?
Mine's probably just destroying the blocks. Like, I usually try to see like if I can get like most blocks like over the mountains and stuff like that. I usually take a block and actually smack blocks with other blocks and see like how far I can get. Like I'm always just trying to whack them as far as I can and see like if I can get a block further than I've ever gotten before.
Find myself doing something similar, like when I need to clear a section and I'm like, all right, I gotta do this fast. I'll just take a block and sweep it through it.
I do the exact same thing. And using a block works so much better in your hand. I just love grabbing the blocks and smacking things with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Our game may look simple, but there's actually it's one of the most one of the most complex like physics games on the Quest itself. There's just a lot of stuff going on. So the game may look simple, but it's actually like it's like pushing the Quest to its limit. So, and you'll notice that when you actually get in there, you can like hit almost anything, and all these blocks interact with all the other blocks and things like that.
Yeah, I didn't think it looked simple. I was like, wow.
Well, I mean, we've had that comment before, so I just want to, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure, like, you know.
That was Mike's struggle for years, literally years, figuring out how to get those blocks to interact correctly. So.
And then when we started multiplayer, we got a contractor to help us with replication. He was just like every chance he got, he was like, the physics in this game is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. So it is hard to like balance that, because like we had to not do like dynamic shadows and reflections, just so we could use as much resources as we could on other aspects of the game.
Right. So a lot of like the processing is going into the physics.
Exactly.
I'm watching this video. I want to go play that. Like, where do I go?
Yeah. Hey, if you're interested and you want to play Blockbuster, check us out on the MetaQuest store. The price is $19.99. You know, we are on Steam as well. Steam is also $19.99. You get some cool post-processing features with that to enhance the look of the game that aren't available on the Quest. However, if you want to play multiplayer, It is only limited to the Quest version.